Do you have something interesting to tell?
What?
Do you have something interesting to tell? This will all be cut off later when we say hello and smoke.
Well, I don't know. I have been fighting since 2015.
Since 2015?
Yes. I have a lot of injuries and disabilities, but I have not yet received a disability. On October 10, I had no submit documents on the medical board and was captured on the same day. That is, I returned from sick leave on that day and was captured on the same day. I was simply taken into the evacuation group. I went to evacuate people. I was unarmed. I don't even know. I saw two in captivity, and the third, I don't know whether he survived or not. There were 3 wounded there.
That is, you have already been a contract soldier for 7
Yes.
years. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Fine?
How to say?
So I ask, how are you doing? And here it's fine.
Fine. Fine. I am in captivity.
But it's better than dying.
What?
It's better than dying, right?
Yes.
I know that we will have an interesting conversation because it is very non-standard, probably very interesting. I don't know. We're essentially not having an interview, but a conversation. Talk, argue, but without assault because you're a special force soldier and don't know how to do
No,
all this.
I didn't have any assault here in captivity, something like that.
Was it before captivity?
Not quite to captivity.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Frelov Alexander Alexandrovich. I am a citizen of Germany and a citizen of the DPR Republic, which is not recognized by you.
Cool. Huh? Citizen of Germany.
That's right.
Were you born there?
I was born in the city of Dnipropetrovsk.
Born in Dnipropetrovsk. Important question. Do you consent to the recording and publication of this conversation?
Yes.
When you were captured, were you filmed?
When I was captured, I managed to say a couple of times I'm being taken a prisoner. And I don't know whether this somehow reached to my parents further or not.
Where are they now?
Parents?
Yes,
They live in Germany.
in Germany. In what city?
City of Frankfurt am Main.
Being there. You were born in Dnipropetrovsk. What is your date of birth?
29th of June, 1982.
1982. You're 40 years old.
That's right.
Yes, let's go without that's right.
Have it.
No, I see 7 years. What happened next? You were born in Dnipro.
Born in Dnipropetrovsk, studied at school, lived in the suburbs of Dnipropetrovsk, city of Podgorodnaya. In 1997, I graduated from the school in June 1997. In September, we left for Germany to live.
Is this your birth name?
Frelov, no. I was born under the surname Babenko.
Yes.
And when we moved to Germany, I took my mother's maiden name, since my mother is German.
Mom is German. Reason for moving? Well, fairly
I am
interesting.
an epileptic, and we were told that epilepsy is treated in Germany. I have had epilepsy since 1995 after a traumatic brain injury.
What is a disease expressed in?
Epilepsy attacks.
Tasers,
Yes.
huh? Are they giving
Yes.
you pillows now?
Thanks to your doctors, they give me the pills which were prescribed to me in Germany.
So you are now being treated with German pills. How to say this correctly?
To be precise, Swiss.
Swiss. In captivity, they give you Swiss pills.
That's right. Yes.
If the pills were not given, there would be seizures. How are attacks expressed? What?
Loss, consciousness, and convulsions.
Yes. Do you have anything interesting to tell about your time living in Germany?
Basically, no. The same life, only outside the homeland.
Where is your homeland?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. How did you get there? What happened next? You worked.
It turns out that I lived in Germany all this time. I observed Ukrainian politics from the outside without living inside. That is, how to formulate it. There was no such thing that I lived by emotion, so that politics somehow influenced me within the country. That is, I observed it from the outside.
What did you see?
How the power in Ukraine changed, how, for example, pro-Russian politicians and European politicians came.
Let's give some examples.
For example, I lived in Europe and saw how some countries joined the European Union. These are Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania, Poland, the Baltic countries. And they all came to work to us. For example, the same Balts. Because of this, we have a lot less work to do. When the Baltic people arrived, they began to talk about how their factories, though that were built under the Soviet Union, were closing. Now there is no work. They have to go abroad to work. For example, Lithuanians come to Germany. Latvians, for example, came to Britain. Poles come and complain that Ukrainians come to work for them. There is no work for Ukrainians in Poland, so they come to work in Germany. For example, Lithuanians say so. For example, some factories were closed because they could compete with other countries such as Greece and Italy. Therefore, their factories were closed and some benefits were paid to their countries, but those benefits did not reach the people and everything remained under politics.
Well, why are you saying all this?
Because I was against my country, Ukraine, joining the European Union. In other words, our country fought for independence from the Soviet Union. We finally got our independence, and in 20 years we must get into another union, where we will be dependent on another union. That is, I was for independence.
You know, it's very easy for me to say now, it's very easy for me to be for something without being
I
there.
had plans to return to Ukraine. My parents bought some property.
But what about the proverb, it's good everywhere where we are not?
We are everywhere.
Look, you listed that someone is going, for example, Latvians are going to England, Poles are going to Germany, Ukrainians are going somewhere else. This is called natural migration or labor migration, right?
Yes.
Is there anything bad about this?
For the local population, yes, they complain.
Can I say that you were against Ukraine joining the European Union because there were already a lot of people in the European Union?
Not really. I was of the opinion that after we joined the European Union, some plants and factories will be closed and people will become unemployed.
For example, which?
Don't even know.
Well, for example, which ones? I can tell you about Latvia, about Lithuania, about Estonia, about Bulgaria, about Moldova. I can tell you a lot about why this labor migration is happening, why there is no work. I think you know all this very well. It just so happens that I'm also a little bit in the know. That is, the information needs to be presented in such a way, I don't even know how. As Zolkin always says, we go on thin ice. Because going to war so that the country does not join the European Union, we will come to this later. Well, to close this topic with migration, let's do it differently then. Where is better to live, in Germany or Ukraine?
It depends.
Let us know without clarification. Here is a simple question, Germany or Ukraine? Where is better, safer, better quality, more comfortable?
In Germany.
3 reasons why. Or Have I already named them? 3 reasons why Germany is better.
Social security.
First,
If I name things like after calling an ambulance, it arrives on time in 3 minutes, ambulance and police. And so on, punctuality.
all this can be attributed to social history.
Buses and trains are punctual.
Second,
You will probably also like this answer, the Schengen zone, where you can move freely throughout all countries.
third, but in Ukraine this can also be done easily for a long time, and you know very well about Schengen. I've been to Germany many times. That is, for me, this is a country not only from TV, and also not traveling by bus in Germany. That is, I was there quite a lot.
Again, to live well there, you need to work well.
Right.
That is, some people there say there is no work. Immigrants, there is work. It's just that if you want to work, you will find a job, but you will have to work 2 jobs, maybe even 3.
Or if there was an appropriate education.
Yes, there
That
was
is-
no agreement.
You had problems with education and had problems with a well-paid job.
Agree.
It is impossible to come up with any new discoveries here. I have to ask why Ukraine is better than Germany.
More freedom.
Where is more freedom in Ukraine compared to Germany?
Don't know, I can't say.
Look, you said we're talking voluntarily, aren't we? Voluntarily. There is no point in drawing out words for me. I asked the question, you answered it. More freedom in Ukraine, where? How does this freedom manifest itself?
I don't know, I can't formulate it. Let's close this question better.
Let's close the topic. Okay. Freedom. I can imagine you can go out, hold rallies, do whatever you want, and nothing will happen to you for it.
Well, even so.
Fine. Now let's do the same thing with Russia, for whom you fought. If we compare Germany and Russia,
I don't know, I've never been there.
Germany and which republic do you consider yourself a citizen of?
Donetsk People's Republic.
Let's compare.
What?
Germany and DPR. Name at least one point. What's better there than in Germany? How many factories were closed in the DPR that you went to defend? We'll get to that.
It wasn't the factory that were closing, it was the mines that were closing.
Mines and all related enterprises. We understand that mines provide logistics, provisions, and transportation. One company went bankrupt, and so did the rest of the companies that worked with it. Yes?
Yes.
Here. Why did they close? From 2014 to 2020. Not even that. How many working enterprises, mine enterprises, are left?
Don't know, I was not interested in this issue.
Not interested. How much did you earn in Germany in 2013?
Well,
What was your last salary?
well, about 1,500 euros.
1,500 euros. It is before taxes or after?
After.
These are kind of clean.
Yes.
Okay, then 2014 you work as security guard in Germany.
Yes.
Certain events occur. What's happening?
The war begins.
I want to clarify. What channels did you watch in Germany? Since you say that you observed what was happening from
Russian.
after. Russian.
Yes.
Russia Today and the rest.
First channel.
What did you hear from there?
Civil war.
Civil war?
Yes.
Prove that that civil war began in 2014.
Now it's hard to say.
Let's do it differently then. Before my question or before 2014 or whatever thoughts you had in your head, Until the moment you clearly understood, and then it became difficult to understand. Maybe I somehow formulated the question incorrectly, or do you understand what I mean?
I was sure that Ukraine had started all this. Ukraine sent troops against its own citizens on the territory of Donbass.
Donbass, was this some kind of separate story? What does it mean that Ukraine sent in troops? They were there. They were Ukrainian armed forces on the territory of Donetsk and Lugansk regions. Is there something wrong with this? There is the Donetsk region, there is the Lugansk region, there is the Lviv region.
They sent in troops after Donbass tried to hold a referendum and secede from Ukraine.
Here, look, you know everything. Unexpectedly, this happened with the desire for separation. Who initiated this?
As I understand it, Russia.
That's it. Who held the referendum in Crimea at gunpoint?
Russia.
When did you start to doubt that something went wrong? You said it yourself. You saw that Ukraine sent in troops. It couldn't take them out anywhere because that's where they were. There is also a city called Slaviansk, where the seizure of police department began and certain citizens of the Russian Federation began to take away weapons. Gero, Officer Strelkov with his gang. Somehow people lived before this and no one needed it. At what stage you're currently in your period of doubt? What are you thinking about? Who now, after the information received, after what they saw? That is, at the beginning you thought it was Ukraine. And now?
Let's put it this way, I was always simply sure that Ukraine had reclassified it as an ATO, anti-terrorist operation. But doubts probably appeared after 2018, after I was seriously injured. I began to think about life, that I might not survive, conducting, let's put it this way, a military conflict in Donbass is beneficial to certain people so that the troops do not go to Crimea, so that they remain in Donbass.
Shall we name these people?
Why?
You never know, maybe you mean, Biden, or Macron, or Boris. Do these people have names?
I think you know them.
Can I tell you that this was beneficial and interesting for Putin?
This was beneficial to Russia.
Undoubtedly. But you understand that if the Russian army had not entered the Donbass in 2014, the miners would not have found a bunch of tanks, grads, weapons and ammunition. Physically, that wasn't there that long in Donbass, so that for 8 years.
Honestly, I didn't see any troops. I did not see Russian troops in Donbass.
There are no troops, equipments, weapons, ammunition.
I was also sure that it was from the warehouses.
In that video showed how convoys were coming from Russia with military equipment and ammunition. The same ones that came in during a full-scale invasion in February of this year. This video had it all. This video showed what kind of equipment was used for the parade in Donetsk. Do you remember? Because this technology does not exist except in Russia. Because there were the latest weapons. I turned it on purpose then. That physically this equipment, this machine, these weapons could not be on the territory of Ukraine. Because they were produced only in Russia. Yet the Russians drove it and left for the next batch. Drove it and left. There were, in my opinion, all sorts of typhoons that were never in service with Ukraine. They didn't need people, they took people like you and mobilized contract soldiers. The miners are going bankrupt. Where are all the people going? Serve. Do you know how many interviews we have already conducted with contract holders of the DPR and LPR? People don't join the army because they have a good life. Because they pay money there consistently. Right?
Yes.
They created conditions in which there was no need to even announce it to people. There is the enterprise clause, leaving 2,000 men without work.
Yes, I've seen those.
Which,
A lot.
can we conditionally say that this was done artificially?
I don't know, honestly.
Because when there are inconvenient answers, you don't have to say names but say country. When the inconvenient answer is that factories and mines were cut into precious metals and everything was taken out from ferrous metal and people were left without work, what did you go to defend? So that people stay with their jobs?
Yes.
But it turned out that people were left without work with the advent of Russia. What currency were the payments in?
Russian rubles.
Oh, how did this happen?
First, a referendum on secession is held.
An A4 piece of paper with writing on it. Do you remember what was written in the referendum itself? Did you take
No,
part at
I
all?
wasn't there yet by this time. I arrived in 2015 on August 25th.
August 25. Let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet, but it will be interesting. Because you lived, there is a new republic growing, there is war. What promoted you to give up your 1,500 euro salary and go? You somehow started to exhale.
I didn't think so. That is, I thought that if my country is already joining the European Union, then at least not completely. This is the first. Second, yes, I thought about separatism, about separating part of the country.
I just wanted to say that this does not fit into your concept of conversation. You defended Ukraine so that it would not join the European Union. At the same time, you yourself say that Germany lives better than Ukraine. That is, a person who says, I don't want my country to join the European Union, let him live the same way, worse, this doesn't fit very well with patriotism.
I don't see a future for the European Union. Or, let's put it this way, I didn't see the future at that time.
In what ways could be the future turn out badly for the European Union?
You know, there is such an expression as rats are fleeing the ship. The first to leave the European Union were the British.
Yeah, they were.
And I think they are not the only ones. And there will be more.
And now they say that there will be a return to the European Union again. If you have already followed this whole policy, please tell us the reason for this.
There is an expression who will be last to leave, or rather the expression who will be the last to leave the European Union will pay its debts.
Where is this written?
This is not right, and it just found it separately on the internet.
On the Russian website. Yes, on the Russian side.
Yes.
Who posted this?
I don't know.
Look, we're having a conversation. You're really on the knowledge that Russia peered into you. And it poured in what was ruined by the European Union. But you watched RT and all sorts of channels, information dumps, cistern that broadcast that they would take Kyiv in 3 days. They told you that the European Union is over, that you need to be with Russia because they have oil and gas. This is politics, such an information vector. We are superpower and nuclear country, the second army of the world, and everyone else will die without us, right? Right.
There is another reason, the problems of Europe.
Which?
Refugees from the Middle East.
Well, you understand that this is an artificial reason, right?
The reason may be artificial, but there are refugees.
Yeah, there are.
And this problem is not one of the small ones. This is a very big problem.
It has existed throughout history. refugees.
But not that extent. Understand, I lived there for 17 years.
Do you want to talk about refugees?
Why not?
Let's. How many Syrian refugees did Belarus deliver to Latvia and Poland?
Don't know.
Why don't you know, if you understand this story so well?
I was in trenches at that moment. I couldn't keep track of it all. I know there was such a problem, but exactly...
Who, how, and where did the Syrian refugees in Belarus come from? Let's think like this.
They arrived by plane.
Think about it. Do you understand geography? Some were in Syria, some were in Belarus. They fly on military Tu-154S on some Russian planes to military airfield in Belarus. There the Belarusian military take them and send them to Europe. Why do they organize corridors for them, food and tent camps at the border? For what? To create a picture for people like you.
But this is not the only country that releases refugees. There is also Turkey.
They don't come from Turkey. You are telling lies again now. There are no Turkish refugees in
No,
Europe.
not from Turkish refugees, but Syrian ones through
why?
Turkey.
Not there. No, there are other countries through which they enter Europe.
Morocco.
Yes. Well, this is a controlled process. The same number of them are caught when they are deported back. It's a never-ending
There's
process.
a vicious circle through Spain.
Now you see, you start talking.
This would have been back when I lived there.
Who benefits from the immigration crisis and who is prolonging it? Who is adding fuel to the migration fire?
But it's not just Syrians, sir.
I understand. I am now speaking for all refugees. Who benefits primarily from the migration problem? The problem with refugees in the European Union. Who is the biggest beneficiary?
Do you want to hint at Russia?
I'm not even hinting at it. I'm saying it. Russia is the sponsor of this entire flow. And the lion's share of all refugees ends up through channels organized by Russia. And Belarus is the most blatant and striking example. When they brought up to 1,000 people a day with their military aircraft and stormed the border.
But most of refugees are from countries visited by NATO.
For example,
Afghanistan, Iraq.
Iraq,
Yes.
Afghanistan.
Yes.
What happened in Afghanistan? Let's do it a little differently then. Why are there so many refugees from Syria? What happened in Syria, for example? Aleppo is a city.
War.
And who fought with whom? So that I remember, who whipped the city to the ground?
Russia helped the Syrian people.
Russia whipped out Syrian cities from the face of the earth. Stupidly carpet endless bombing. Major Krasnoyartsev was on our channel and he himself told how many times he flew and how many hundreds of high explosive bombs he dropped on the peaceful city of Aleppo. He was stupidly destroying. Syria was stupidly destroyed. There was a division of the oil refining market. This is one of the reasons. Naturally, people whose houses were destroyed have nowhere to live and they are forced to go somewhere. The same thing happens with us. The people who were in the city of Bakhmut. What's wrong with it? Wiped off the face of the earth. Now there are less than 10,000 people left to live there. The last thing I know is that 1,000 of them are children. Where are all these people? They left and moved. Who is destroying the city?
Mutually, that's all
Mutual.
on both sides.
Bakhmut is located in which country?
On the territory of Ukraine.
Why the hell is Russia destroying our city? What does a motel mean? Why do we have such a conversation when it's uncomfortable to talk or you don't want to talk?
No, well, they shoot from both sides, not the same
Well, of
side.
course, if our Ukrainian fighters had not shot, then Bakhmut would have already been occupied by the looters and rapists of the Wagners. Because they are moving there. Of course, ours are forced to shoot. Our people are in the city. What does mutually mean? Russia stormed the city. But they cannot take it, therefore they monotonously shoot it with shells. What does mutually mean? Ours are in the city, they cannot shoot on their own. Look, there is a city. There are Ukrainian troops and Ukrainian citizens in it. Russia is here, trying to take it for the 6 months. Ours are in the city. Will ours mutually shoot themselves? Is this how it happens? Or is Russia shooting up the city in the hope that everyone will leave it? How was Mariupol taken? Endless shelling of the city. Or am I telling you some crap again? You even have a TV now. When will you begin to give some kind of assessment of what is happening and not look for some kind of reciprocity here? Are they killing each other there? But for some reason they didn't kill each other before the invasion, February 24.
On February 24, I was sent to the rear to dress reservists and issue gas masks. Until March 1st, I was on PPLS. This is where the newly arrived reservists undressed.
After?
Sent to Mariupol.
Stop a second. You were injured in 2018, I think that's what you said.
Yes.
What was the reason for the injury?
The 120th mine exploded 2 meters from me. I was generally removed from the front line after that. I mean, I spent about a year in out of hospitals, and from that point on I was in touch, just sitting on the phone. Therefore, when all these events began, again, they did not take me with them, let's put it this way, but sent me to the rear.
What happened after March 1st?
On March 1st, I arrived in Mariupol. I was made head of the convoy. There is such a stop in Mariupol called St. Quarry. There I picked up groceries and took them to the Eva Cafe. I picked up women and children from the Willow Cafe and took them by car to Eastern Checkpoint.
It's Mariupol that hadn't been taken yet, in my opinion.
No.
There were endless... so you witnessed how the city was shot?
Yes.
What part of the city is this from geographically?
Left bank. Left bank.
Where metro is?
Don't know, I didn't see it.
The tank stood there, they said endlessly around the city.
I didn't see it.
Well, then you didn't see it there. Yes, how long did it take you to go to this Willow and back?
A couple of weeks.
How the city?
Stalingrad, Grozny.
Had the Russian peace arrived?
Arrived.
What did it bring? No, I want to find out what the Russian peace brought. If you want, of course you don't have to answer, but the opinion of a person who in a sense is a separatist and brought this Russian peace is very interesting. Have you seen a lot of tears?
Yes.
Was it good to look into the eyes of these children, the mothers who carried these children in their arms?
How should I tell you, or how should I answer you?
As it is, yes.
They came to us and asked, why are our troops shooting us?
Ours which ones?
Ukrainians.
And I know other stories.
You know, if I get back here, I'll find...
You know, I again disagree with you. We remember, right? They just gave an example.
Yes,
With
Bakhmut.
What troops are there in Bakhmut?
Wait, when the civilians came out to us, they asked why don't the Ukrainians let us out and why are they shooting at us from behind?
This is the first time I've heard this from you. We've talked for more than
Dima,
half an
if
hour.
I get there again, I will find the family. I took out and record a special video for you.
I don't think you'll get there.
Why?
How do you imagine this?
Exchange?
And?
Or will you make sure that I don't get an exchange?
Yes, I have something to do with it. This is not my decision on exchange. Do you want another story? Which direction did you take everyone?
To the east.
Do you know why to the east?
Where should I take them?
Because it was impossible to travel to the west and north. Your people stood and shot everyone who tried to leave the controlled territory of Ukraine. And they left only the humanitarian corridor. And then they shoot at civilians. There is already an investigation. Your troops. Tell us about the drama theater.
I don't know what there.
A drama theater where there were children. Your planes flew there, bombed the city endlessly. Well, whose planes were flying?
Russians.
Russians. Were there people in the city?
There were.
How is it that Russian planes fly and bomb civilians? Something about your concept isn't working
I was
again.
sure that they were throwing bombs at Azovstal.
This is the whole point of all your stupidity. Because they told you we killed someone there. Major Krasnoyartsev, I myself am from the city of Chernigov, dropped a bomb on the house in which I grew up. 9-story panel house. I grew up in it, was born. Well, I wasn't born right in the house. Into a peaceful house where people sat in basements. For some reason, you were sure that they bombed Azovstal. Were there no civilians at Azovstal? How many thousands of peaceful people fled there to hide? Don't know? Why did you say so immediately? I thought they were shooting at Azovstal. And what was there? How the city was there, sitting there. Do you know where all these people are now? In captivity. Can women be taken captive as civilians?
If I tell you that I did not participate in this,
What difference does it make to me whether you participated in this or not? You answer the question. What does Russian peace bring? Because we had such an epic pause about 40 seconds. What did the Russian peace bring? Or maybe if you hadn't carried it, there wouldn't have been those people who came out in tears. Give me at least one reason, at least one good thing from your Russian peace. Anything.
I won't name it.
Why?
There is probably no such thing.
Difficult conversation?
Yes.
Didn't expect it?
No.
How did you get captured?
There was an assault on the village.
Sorry, let's get to it. Mariupol and then what? How long have you been in Mariupol?
Somewhere before the beginning of April.
When was it taken?
I don't know, we didn't reach Azovstal a couple of blocks. The entire regiment was removed and taken to the Zaporozhye region.
There were endless battles there, shooting, right?
Yes.
The city leveled up, block by block. Grozny 2, Stalingrad, yes? What happened near Zaporozhye?
Nothing like this happened near Zaporozhye. They took us somewhere and there the artillery worked crosswise over us. It was not even clear who was shooting at whom. We spent a little time there and were taken back to Donetsk region.
What's in Donetsk region?
In the Donetsk region we were brought near Yasinovataya. There was an assault on the village of Kamenka. There I was wounded on July 13th. Until October 10 I was on sick leave. On October 10 I went out, got into formation and was captured on the same day.
How were you captured?
I was in the evacuation group. The first group of attacked aircraft went to storm the village of Krasnogorovka. There were 3 wounded. I left my weapons and armor, crawled with a first aid kit, bandages to provide first aid, and tried to drag the wounded. I never crawled to them. They took me prisoner.